So our goal for this quest is to be able to take two figures, like these two polygons you see on the screen, the red and the green one, that are congruent in size. These are the same thing, it's just I transformed like this red one by a composition of transformations to end up here. Okay, so your job is going to be being able to take, for example, the red polygon and map it onto the green one. So to move figures around a plane, we have to perform our transformations. So when you look at this, I guess looking at orientation, this little thumb thing, this is kind of like, to me, it's either like a tea kettle or a mitten. Missing some fingers over here, but this is let's call it a mitten. So this would be like the thumb, right, of this polygon. So here's a thumb, here's a thumb. Notice the thumbs are facing each other. So to me, it looks like the orientation has flipped, which refers to a reflection. So if I want to reflect this red image onto the green one, then we just have to ask ourselves, what do I need to reflect this red image? And we need a line. So the nice thing about GeoGebra being a dynamic software is that when I put my line down, notice my line is defined by the 2 points that I click on. So if I want to move my line, I just have to move the 2 points that define it. So now that I have a line that I can reflect over, I'm going to grab my reflect tool, and I'm just going to click on my polygon, and then I'm going to click on my line, and I have reflected my polygon here, right? So now I see my reflection. Orientation is pretty close. Now I got the thumbs going in the same direction here. Now that's not obviously on the green one, so you may want to think about moving your line around. Well, hey, there we go. So if I move my line around, I can get these things to line up pretty close, right? Now the last thing that I have to do, now that I know that I just have to get this shape now slid down to this one, that implies that there's got to be a translation or a vector needed so that we can translate. So what I'm going to do is grab my vector tool, and I'm going to visually show a vector by taking a point on this new reflected polygon and connect it to its corresponding point. So notice I got this bottom corner here, it's this bottom corner here, so that point's going to have to slide by this vector to map onto this point, and hopefully all of our other vectors are the same. So to check it, let's go ahead and just translate. So I'm going to go back to my transformation toolbox. I'm going to grab the translate object by vector tool. I'm going to click on my object I want to translate and click on my vector. And now we are off just a little bit, but I bet you if I move my line of reflection, hey, there we go. So based off of a reflection and a translation, I have transformed this original image to map onto this green image down here by combining two transformations. Now let me show you something else too. I don't know if you were watching this video and I got to this point here, and another way of thinking, because there's more than one right way to map a figure onto another one, is when I made my reflection here, then this seems like it could just be a rotation, right? We could have taken this red image and rotated it around some point to map right onto here. And so to rotate, we have to ask ourselves, okay, what do we need to rotate? Well, I probably should find the center of rotation and then find out how far it rotated, and then rotate this figure around that center point by the angle that we need. So let's find that real quick. I'm going to grab my segment tool, and finding center of rotation, we need to find two perpendicular bisectors, so connect corresponding points with a segment. I'm going to do that to another one, maybe the thumb to the thumb. I'm going to grab my perpendicular bisector tool, which is in my construction toolbox. I'm going to construct the perpendicular bisector. So that intersection point right here must be my center of rotation. So now that I've found it, I'm going to highlight my two perpendicular bisectors and these segments because we don't need them anymore. And now I'm going to click on Show Object and hide those. The key thing here is that I have my center of rotation. So now to find my angle of rotation, all I have to do is make an angle centered at the center of rotation, connecting two corresponding points, right? So now I can measure that angle in a clockwise direction. 75.12, or alpha here, right? So now the last thing that I have to do is grab, now that I know my center of rotation and my angle, sorry guys, the bell's ringing, but I'm going to grab my rotate tool in my transformation toolbox. I'm going to click on this red polygon because I want to rotate it. I want to rotate it around the center that I found, so I'm going to click on the point. It's asking me what do I want to rotate it by, and it's this 75.12 degrees, and the red would have to go in a counterclockwise direction. And notice now when I'm done, that red image mapped exactly onto our green image here, and we have also, in another way, have transformed this red polygon onto the once green one here. Okay, so all you have to do is just visually see a way to get it there, find one method and one combination of transformations, and explain that to me. In your submission for this quest, I want a video of you explaining to me exactly like I did to you. You can play around with it and then show me how you map the image onto the other colored one. Okay? So if you have any questions on that, guys, please ask your neighbors, ask myself. Thank you.